about VAT. What is VAT? VAT is a tax. Everybody knows that VAT is a tax. What is the full form of VAT? VAT stands for value added tax. VAT stands for value added tax. So let us discuss what is VAT. Our objective is to know the meaning of VAT and what is the tax authority, what are their duties, and what is the journal entry we have to record at the time of sales and at the time of purchase. These are our objectives. Let us see. VAT is a tax, everybody knows that. We are paying VAT when we go and buy things, goods, products, or when we buy services. So, VAT is an indirect tax on the supply of goods and services. What is this indirect tax? What is this indirect tax? So here you need to understand that first taxes are two types, direct taxes and indirect taxes. Direct taxes are the taxes paid by the business or the persons, individuals, directly to the tax authorities or government. When the people, like individuals or businesses, they pay directly to the tax authorities, that is called direct tax. Indirect tax means it is not paid directly to the tax authority or to the government. People, when they are buying goods or when they are buying services, they pay tax to the supplier, to the seller. Seller will collect tax on behalf of the government from the customers at the time of providing services or at the time of providing sales. So they collect the tax and they deposit to the tax authorities. It means ultimately paid by the consumer, but they are not directly paying this amount to the government or the tax authority. It is indirectly paid. That is why we call VAT is an indirect tax. Tax is collected at each transfer point. It means whenever one business to another business, there is transfer of goods or providing services, VAT should be charged on the customer. Eventually, the consumer pays the tax in full. So, whenever there is transfer movement of goods or services from one person to one place to other place, one business to other business, from one agent to other agent, every time VAT will be collected by the seller. So, VAT registered businesses charge VAT on their sales. As I told you just now, whenever there is transfer of goods, VAT will be collected from the customer. So when we are selling, the tax what we collect from the customer, we call it output tax. The buyer, when we are buying, as a buyer, when we are buying goods or services from the suppliers, we pay VAT to the supplier. That is called input tax. So VAT on sales, when we are selling goods and we collect tax from the customers, that is called output tax. When we are buying goods or services from the suppliers, we pay tax to the supplier. That VAT is called input tax. So how VAT due or refund is determined? So VAT is not on the cost of the business because they are not paying, they are collecting from the customer and they are depositing it to the tax authority. So it is not the cost on the business. So who is the tax authority in Bahrain? National Bureau for Revenue. This is NBR. NBR is the tax authority. What are their responsibilities? What are their duties? They are in charge of all the tax framework, whether it is direct tax, indirect tax. Presently in Bahrain we have only indirect taxes, that is VAT. So the tax authority, NBR, National Bureau for Revenue, they are responsible for designing the framework. What is the rate of VAT? How to collect? Whether the business are paying correct amount of VAT or no. And tax audits will be conducted by NBR. So National Bureau for Revenue is the government agency. So these tax authorities are appointed by the government of the respective country. And they will implement the VAT procedures and they will framework, they will design the rules and regulations and they will start implementing them. In Bahrain, 2019 January, VAT was implemented and at the percentage of 5%. Later on, last year in January 2022, it was increased from 5% to 10%. Who did this? National